Before we get into the video, like I've been saying the past few weeks, if you're enjoying the content that we've been making here at Mighty Mac on YouTube with the recaps, the interviews, the storytime videos, and everything in between, then be sure to subscribe for the channel today as we're heading into the summer months of the NHRA Mission Foods Drag Racing Series season. We're going to be covering the Bristol Thunder Valley Nationals next weekend, as well as the Norwalk Nationals and everything in between leading up to the 70th edition of the US Nationals. So if you like what you're seeing so far and you like what we've seen in the past and what we have planned for the future, be sure to subscribe today so you don't miss a single video for the 2024 NHRA season, and of course everything else in between from IMSA to IndyCar, even NASCAR. So subscribe to the channel today, and without further ado, let's get into the video. So the New England Nationals has wrapped up once again for 2024. Last year when we came here, it was a rain delay that saw nothing but dread and misery throughout the entire weekend, even though we had a stellar crowd turnout just to see, I believe, one round of qualifying all weekend before it got shuffled down to Bristol as a part of the Thunder Valley Nationals. Now this weekend they got to go back there with clear skies, beautiful weather, fast speeds, fast action, and incredible racing. And for two of the days out of the three, you had a sold-out crowd at the New England Dragway, and they're given some incredible racing top to bottom. We have a lot to go through to recap this event. It keeps building on what I've been saying. The season's going to get better as the year progresses. We're moving into these summer months. You're going to have tracks like Bristol. You're going to have tracks like New England, or Norwalk, Virginia. You're going to go to the West Coast. You're going to have tracks like Seattle and Sonoma, and then they're going to come back here. You got tracks like Brainerd and Indianapolis. It's just going to keep getting better as the season progresses, and it keeps showing, because again, people are already saying that this was the best New England Nationals of all time, just like people were saying that this was the best Route 66 Nationals. They just keep one-upping each other as the year goes on, and as the competition gets tighter and tighter as we head towards that countdown. It's just going to get even better as the season progresses. We saw a lot of returns of some old faces that we haven't seen in a while get back up to the top step of the NHRA series. And again, it's just going to keep progressing. The storylines are going to keep getting better. Speaking of storylines, let's jump straight into today's action, recapping in Pro Stock Round 1 highlights. Derek Kramer jumps off the line first. He ran away from Eric Latino and took the win there. Second pair out would have been Greg Anderson. He jumped off the line first, but the cars shoot dead right. Aaron Stanfield gets payback. He hangs on to win it by a nose. Kenny Delco muffed his burnout in his pairing where he faced off against Jeg Coughlin Jr. The car shot towards the center line, had to shove the clutch in. Jeg Coughlin took the round win there. Mason McGahey shoved the clutch in early in his run against Jerry Tucker. Tucker drives down to win an easy round 1 matchup. Matt Harford squared his tires as he faced off against Chris McGahey. Chris McGahey got to hold on to the McGahey name and take the win, moving on to round number 2. Dallas Glenn, your winner back from Chicago, drove it towards the wall early, but still runs away from Brandon Foster, who fell asleep on the tree. He advances to another round 2 matchup. Troy Coughlin Jr., your number 2 qualifier, gunned to the tree, runs to an easy round 1 victory against Brandon Miller, who made his first ever appearance on Sunday in the NHRA Mission Foods Drag Racing Series season in Pro Stock. And then lastly, your number 1 and number 16 qualifier, Fernando Quadra Jr. left the line first, but Erica Enders, your number 1 qualifier, drove around him and muscled her way to a decisive round 1 victory. In round 2, Chris McGahey squares the tires off the line, an easy round 2 win for Jerry Don Tucker. Jeg Coughlin's car moves first, but it moves to the right, which gives Glenn the advantage he needs to drive around him and steal the win on a hole shot. You're going to hear that a lot today. Troy Coughlin Jr. ends up jumping off the line first and is able to hold on and defeats Aaron Stanfield on another hole shot. That's back-to-back hole shots win right there. Derek Kramer as well jumps off the line first and looks to steal the win, but Erica is able to muscle her way around and narrowly edge past Kramer for the win, advancing herself back to the semifinals. Speaking of semifinals, Troy Coughlin opens up a gap towards the last half of the track and takes a decisive victory en route to his 25th career final round appearance after defeating Dallas Glenn. And for Erica Enders versus Jerry Don Tucker, Erica guns off the line and runs away with it and advances back to the final round, a all-elite motorsports final round. In the final round, Troy Coughlin Jr. said he needed a teen light, which is basically under a .02 light. Got that light, gets it with an 0.13 reaction time, and is able to use it to hold off Eric Enders, who was charging up to try and pass him, and he won his first race of the year today on a hole shot, win number 13 of his career. In the funny car, round 1, Corey Lee loses a cylinder, smokes the tires, and smacks the wall, facing off against Daniel Wilkerson, who drove down the track to take the win. He would end up causing a delay for about, I would say, 10 to 20 minutes, as they had to get him off the track as well as repair the wall and anything of the fluids that fell onto the racetrack. Next pair, Mike Smith smokes tires immediately when he hits the gas pedal at the tree. Proc sails down to an easy win. John Force easily beats Buddy Hall, duplicate run to what Austin Proc had. Those two are really strong today. You'll hear about that later. Dave Richards smokes it just off the line. J.R. Todd runs down before shutting off before the finish and gets the win. Ron Capps getting a much needed round 1 win against Matt Hagan. His first round 1 win since the Las Vegas 4-wide a couple months ago. So like I said, very much needed as he heads into the summer months, especially going to Bristol, where he won 1 year ago. Cruz Pedregon smokes his tires early. Tasca drove down to get himself a round 1 victory. Terry Haddock, who had a career best ET back on Friday, hazes the tires. Blake Alexander, who is looking as strong as ever as he gets into the summer months, as he gets ready to go back to Norwalk, easily takes the win there. And then your last pairing, your number 8 and 9 qualifier, Chad Green and DeJoria, run head to head all the way to the line. Chad Green takes the win to second low ET of the round, defeating Alexis DeJoria. In round 2, Bob Tasca, the hometown favorite, hazes the tires early. J.R. Todd wiggles on the track to another semifinal berth, really, again, repeating just how strong the Kalitta cars are this season. A clean race down the track between Austin Proc and Chad Green. Proc continues to look strong as he makes it back to another semifinal round appearance. Blake Alexander faced off against John Force, and just like what we saw back on the Too Fast Too Tasty on Saturday, he held his own. It was really looking strong towards half track. He was actually ahead of him up until half track. Car starts to quit. Force takes the win and moves on to another semifinal appearance. He's being said a lot right now that this is in fact his strongest season in 10 years. And if you can do the math, that's back to 2014. What was important about that 2014 season? It is the last time that John Force won a championship. That was championship number 16. He is still on track to try and win championship number 17. Woo! Last pair, Ron Capps goes up and smokes as soon as he hits the gas. Daniel Wilkerson gets a much needed round 1 win, or round 2 win, I should say, moving him to the semifinals. Daniel Wilkerson and the Skag team looking very strong the last few weeks after that explosion back at Chicago. They're looking even better as they head into the summer months too. Speaking of semifinals, J.R. Todd jumps up the line first, but John Force is able to muscle his way around and make his 269th final round appearance, 4th final round of the season, his last since the Chicago Route 66 Nationals. Before then, it was the Charlotte 4-wide, and then of course the Pomona final as well. And then for Austin Proc, jumps off the line first against Daniel Wilkerson. Close race to the line as Austin approaches the wall, but is still able to defeat Wilkerson to give us an all JFR final. And then in the final round, Proc and Force leave identically close race until Brock starts to lose cylinders at half track, and then it finally gives out. John Force scores his 157th career victory. I believe, if I'm correct from what I heard on the PA system, they said that actually might be his first win in New England, which is hard to believe. I think that's wrong. I could have misheard that. Lastly, Top Fuel. Dan Mercier, had the Cinderella story back in Chicago, making it to the semifinal round, does not get the same treatment here, loses a cylinder at the jump. Clay Milliken runs away and handily wins another first round matchup. As he heads into the summer months, we know how fast they are with Rick Ware Racing and those summer setups. This is going to be a really trying time for them as they go around to these summer tracks. They could really make some noise here within the next few weeks. Jasmine Salinas double bulbs the lights, fights the car all the way down the racetrack, but loses to Billy Dorrance on a hole shot. Sean Reed hazes the tires. Sean Langdon has a strong pass in the right lane and sets low ET of the race day so far. A pedal fest at past half track sees Schumacher catch it first and is able to drive around Brittany Force, who left first. Another first round loss after a promising weekend, going back to the struggling start of the season that Brittany had. She came here in number 3 qualifier, set a new track speed record back on a Friday night, but sadly is not enough. They're still seeing some struggles out of that car. They could have the speed to do it, but they just can't go around just yet. The struggle bus continues for that JFR Top Fuel dragster. Scott Farley double steps, red lights, and smokes the tires before even passing the tree. Doug Kalitta runs the half track, smokes tires, but already has the win. Smack Smith holds on till half track, car finally gives out. Steve Torrance easily wins that matchup. Justin Ashley blitzes the tree, looks to win like he always does, but then ends up smoking the tire at half track. Josh Hart, major round 1 upset victory. Another driver who needed a big round 1 win after a struggle start to the season. They got what they needed there. Moving on to the final round as Justin Ashley gets sent home a lot earlier than anybody would have expected. And then finally, Chicago winner Antron Brown smokes tires first. Tony Stewart, who was matching up with him, smokes it towards the end, was able to hang on. Another crucial round 1 win, his first since the Charlotte 4-wide. Another very much needed round 1 victory for Tony Stewart, who has had a struggling past couple of weeks. That is a much needed win for them, as after qualifying 16th back in Chicago, losing round 1 to TJ Zizzo, comes here, qualifies I believe 8th, has a very strong turnaround for them as they're going to head into these summer months as well. That team is looking to catch the same amount of momentum. It's looking a lot similar to what we saw with Leah Pruitt a year ago. So that could be a sign of things to come as they head into these summer months, because now the team and Tony Stewart are starting to finally connect the dots, and they are starting to make their way down the track and set down some really fast numbers. Round 2, Josh Hart actually had a swarm of bees attack their hospitality trailer between rounds. There was a huge swarm on the corner of their trailer. I don't even know how that happened with how much there was there. It covered the entire corner of the tent. Speaking of Josh Hart, Josh would end up smoking the tires past the tree. Tony Schumacher flies down to his first 3-second run of the weekend and his first semifinal berth since Arizona. Head-to-head race leads to Clay Millican barely defeating Steve Torrance on a tiny hole shot, about half a car length advantage at the line. Tony Stewart leads the tree first, close side-by-side race, but with the 6-mile-an-hour advantage, Doug Kalitta is able to sneak around and steal the win by the front wing. Like I said earlier, a really strong weekend for Tony Stewart. Sean Langdon and Billy Torrance would haze the tires simultaneously at about half track. Langdon catches it first, wins that race on a hole shot. Semifinals, the miracle of Tony Schumacher's good weekend so far after qualifying number 14. I was looking at the storyline of possibly, the last time I saw something like this was when Antron Brown qualified, I believe 15th back in Indianapolis and ended up winning that. You're about to see something similar. Tony Schumacher leaves first. Clay's car gives up around 200 feet as the belt flies off. Tony actually said he prayed for that. Schumacher ones up his best run of the weekend as he goes to a second final round of the season, which was back at the Pomona Winter Nationals. And then a close side-by-side race with the 2 Kalitta cars. Sean's car bobbled towards the end, and Doug Kalitta screams to another final round appearance at 330 miles per hour. And then, if you can do the math, Doug Kalitta versus Tony Schumacher. It's like 2006. I said this about funny car as well, because you have the Robert Hite car, which Austin Prock is driving, versus John Force. This was looking like 2006. The only thing we were missing was Greg Anderson versus Jake Coughlin, who went out way much earlier than anybody would have expected. But in the final round, their 95th final round matchup, Kalitta versus Schumacher. Schumacher ends up hazing the tire at half track. Doug Kalitta goes on to win the final event he was missing on his resume. The last 2 was the Vegas 4-wide Nationals, if I'm correct, or just a 4-wide in general, and then the New England Nationals. He scores both in the same year, and the reigning top fuel champion is really starting to pick up the pace once again. We have a lot of the highlight videos from today's action to go through. Let's do that, and then we'll wrap it up and then look forward to the Thunder Valley Nationals.
Erica comes in with a significant performance advantage. We'll see if Troy has anything on the starting line for her. Coughlin second to stage. Snaps off the line with a 13 light. She was 0.38. He's got himself 2.5 hundredths of a second. Is any of it enough? It is. He did it on a whole shot. 6:58.4 beats a 6:56.3. Troy Coughlin Jr. picks up career win number 5 in Epping, New Hampshire. His first victory since the 2023 Mile High Nationals.
Well, Paul Laurenti and I are surrounded by the yellow and black here of Jegs and Troy Coughlin Jr.'s team. Paul, hand him that Wally. Troy Coughlin, this is the first time you've picked one of these up since last year in Denver. You know, you told me you needed to tighten up your package. You did. These guys here did the same for you, and you won on a whole shot by 4th out. How good does that feel?
Man, it feels awesome, and something I've been taught from day one is people make this possible, and it starts from the very top, and it goes all the way down the list. You got Kelly Murphy, Tim Freeman, Scott Woodruff, Ricky here, Kyle Bates, Hollywood, everybody here on Team Yellow and the Jegs.com White Castle Elite Machine. They're fantastic. They make great decisions, and they give me a race car to drive. I absolutely enjoy this sport so much, and this is why. So people make it possible, and we want to keep racing.
I don't have to tell you to celebrate. Have fun tonight.
Let's get it on.
Both drivers now in pre-stage the funny car final. In all, John Force Racing affair. He's in deep. They go down the racetrack, and at the finish line stripe for the 157th time, John forced around and everybody else found out.
For the 157th time, John Force is going to bring home a Wally. Here are the folks from New England Dragway handing him his Wally here today. Pass it over to John. John, you had a heck of a final round there. That was a close race between your teammate, Austin Prock. What did it take to beat the kid?
Well, a lot of luck, trust me. I could go through all the sponsors. I've been doing that all day, and I think they've been cutting all my stuff. I'm just going to thank Peak and Chevrolet and Cornwell and AAA of Southern, AAA of Epping. And I just really mean it. I talk too much. I say too much. But I want to say something that really does matter. This kid, because I'm there, is going to replace me.
That was a hell of a day at the office. Don't fall. We're not done with you yet. That was a hell of a day at the office.
Good race car. But I'd like to say first here, I came to Epping because all my interviews keep getting screwed up and I'm saying all the stuff wrong. I'm nobody without sponsors, and I'm trying to throw them all in. I don't win a lot like I used to. But I came up here and fell in love with this area and Englishtown and places. But Epping was always special to me and my wife. And the fans are coming back. The Canadians come. And I really do love you. And you don't realize what keeps me being alive is driving that hot rod at my stupid age of 75. But it's you guys. But I can't beat Austin Prock. I give it all I got. He whips me every week. So does Hagen. So does Caps, all of them. But I got to win here today. Call it luck. Call it what you want. But I think Jimmy dropped a cylinder. He was going to run 90 flat. I know Jimmy. But we all work together as a team. That's what's most important. And we help each other when we're in trouble. And Daniel Hood, my son-in-law, I love him to death. When I talked about that car being a woman, he married one of my daughters, and he knows what they're like. And Courtney and Brittany, but that's my whole life and my wife. And I live out here with you guys. And I know, and I ain't trying to dramatize it, but I wouldn't be here without the sponsors. So you know who they are. They're all over my hot rod, all over my fire suit. But I wouldn't be here without this team of guys. And I don't mean one team. I got 3 teams out here. I got a dragster sitting at home that I got to put a driver in, and I'm working on it right now, okay, to bring it back. And Robert Height, he's going to come back, okay. And I ain't trying to put nobody on a bummer. I'll be at Bristol, but my time's pretty much up. And Austin Prock, you want a winner like Robert Height and Brittany and all my drivers, you support him because he'll probably be the guy replacing me. And I just love him to death. And it was, even though I won here, it's just hard. So, hey, I done my time. I'm not going to quit tomorrow, don't get me wrong, but now I'm starting the process. So I love you, and I'll get out of here.
John Force, ladies and gentlemen.
Two of the greatest top fuel racers in history, and it's Doug Kalitta at the finish line stripe. 380 at 332 miles an hour, as Tony Schumacher was there with him for a long way until the tires gave way and the smoke rolled off the back.
Well, Paul Laurenti for New England Dragway is going to hand over the last wally of the day to the reigning top fuel world champion, Doug Kalitta. Doug, you swept the weekend. You were number one qualifier in almost every session. You're going home with a wally to strong 380 in the final. How good does that feel?
Yeah, no, it's incredible. We had a tribute to my cousin Scott yesterday, and this one's definitely a tribute to him and Connie. And it was just, Alan and Mac and my whole Mac Tools Toyota RevCam team. We've been digging hard, and I'm just trying to make sure I don't screw up there. They've given me such a good car, and just awesome weekend, and just super excited.
Congratulations.
Thanks.
So that is going to wrap it up here for the New England Nationals recap. Like I've been saying, the season's going to get better as the summer months goes on. This was incredible. Chicago was just as good, if not better. We're going to go to Bristol, which last time I was there in 2023, that was a barn burner of an event, even with the rain delay and the fact that you had the New England rerun on that same weekend. Can't wait to be back there at Bristol. I just booked my hotel today for that race, so we will be there live covering the Thunder Valley Nationals. We're actually going to be upgrading our equipment to have a camera lens that we're going to really love getting to use. It's going to provide us some great pictures, especially with the Bristol mountain landscape. So if you want to see those photos, be sure to follow me on all the social media pages down below. Mighty Mac 03, Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and TikTok. Subscribe to the channel, like, comment, share, do all that fun stuff. Be sure to subscribe and follow along with the channel today, so that way you can keep up with what's going on in the 2024 NHRA Mission Foods Drag Racing Series season. Thank you guys so much for watching, and until the Thunder Valley Nationals, this has been Mighty Mac. I will see you next time.